I will go ahead and call this meeting of the Grange Public Library Board of Trustees to order. We have a roll call.
Rick Cutler.
Here.
Hagan McIntosh.
Here.
Katzenberger.
Here.
Nova Opid.
Here.
Sprafford.
Here.
Rennick.
Here.
Gardner.
Here. Thank you again, Peter, for being here tonight. Jen, do we have any public comment?
None received.
No. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
I second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Cutler.
Aye.
Hagan McIntosh.
Aye.
Katzenberger.
Aye.
Nova Opid.
Aye.
Sprafford.
Aye.
Rennick.
Here.
Gardner.
Here. Aye.
All of the above.
Excellent. So having no current business, we'll move on to our one item of new business, the per capita grant application.
All right, so as everybody knows, annually in the state of Illinois, public libraries are able to apply for the per capita and equalization aid grant. It's actually, and we might have discussed this in the past, but it's decided upon based on your population. You get a certain amount of money based on your population. So bigger populations get more money than we do. Smaller populations get less than we do. This part of this is there's three parts to it now, actually. To be eligible for this grant, you see that we have to also be sure that we are in compliance with our it's not anti-book banning legislation. We have to have a policy or an adoption of the ALA. I'm a little foggy. We're in compliance with it, with our collection development policy saying that we do not ban books on the opinions of one specific person. Rather, we examine requests for banning as they come up. So that's one thing we have to do. Another thing that we have to do is to file a report of where we are with the serving our public standards, which is what you see here. So this is the review of all of the things, making sure that we meet all the limits of all the expectations of our checklists. And some of that you'll see is going through it with the trustees. Some of it we've gone through very specifically. Some of it just kind of happens organically. So you don't necessarily have to have a different topic each month. But you'll see here, so I've gone through and given just a quick update with all of the stuff that we have done. And then the last part of the requirement is discussing and reporting where we spent our grant funds this year. So without further ado, we met all the standards of the checklist. Yay! It does not mean we're perfect. It means that we have things to work on. I tried to highlight things that you all worked on. This year I highlighted part of the core standards is having an annual appraisal for your administrator in your library. So I highlighted that the board specifically collaborated on redeveloping the library director reevaluation. For governance and administration, it's about how you're involved with your local government, be it state legislator or your national legislators. In our village, you all attended quite a few meetings this year, whether it was on behalf of the library, on your own time. So we wanted to make sure that we had that noted. I also wanted to put in that the leadership team is working on, in the background, creating succession plans. So if somebody leaves, what are the need to knows? We created a template, and then they are all filling them out and keeping them in one space. Our next steps would be to do this with some of our core librarian roles as well. So it's working out pretty well.
Question. So there's some proofing things on each one. Do you want me just to send it to you, or do you want to go through it?
No, why don't you send it to me?
Yeah, it might be easier. Just little things, components is spelled wrong in each
perfect
thing. It's just
you can tell I copied and pasted.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll just send it to you.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Let's see. With personnel, we've done a great focus this year on all staff having SMART goals, whereas prior to my starting at the library, that was optional. So everybody has SMART goals from our shelvers to myself to achieve and use in our annual appraisal process. And we're still working on growing our staff culture. Access talks about not only accessibility as far as online or different areas, but it talks about some of your building accessibility. So we continue to address our furniture needs and replace items that were not designed for public use, which is what we used our per capita grant for this year when we redid the furniture in the children's area and we added additional display spaces in that area and on the second floor. I also mentioned that we have someone on staff earning their ADA coordinator certification. Liz is about 85 to 90% done with the classes and we'll just have to take the test in the next month or two. And that will be helpful as we go forward in our facilities improvement plan as well. For Chapter 5, it's talking about physical building maintenance and infrastructure. The library meets many of the standards for the checklist. We highlighted the addition of the hearing loop system and replacement of some of our fraying carpet area in our community space. And we're nearing completion of our facilities improvement plan to guide us through the next 5 years. We love that. I should probably say and beyond as well. As far as safety, we're meeting all the required components for our safety checklist. Some of our highlights this year were the creation of disaster kits, and we created a safety committee that regularly checks our first aid supplies and that they are prepared for use for the library and patrons. I think Joanne told us that 17 people can live in the library for 17 days before we are out of sustainable supplies, or more people for a shorter amount of time.
Party.
To know.
We are also going to continue working on our person in charge training through presenters at staff in-service days and through our person in charge PIC committee. So we work on safety all the time. It's never really an end. You're always having those conversations. When it comes to collection management, we're continuing to evaluate the formats of our collection as material types change. So we've seen the reduction in available CDs and DVDs for purchase. So we are reallocating those funds to other services. One area we've been talking about are teen playaways. I think most of you have been encountered a playaway by this point. They're just not as available as they once were, so we're shifting some of the teen budget from playaways into our nice.
That's a teen playaway.
into our e-audiobook budget. So you'll see some of those things coming up during budgeting season.
Things like Lucky Day or Skip the Line audiobooks.
Exactly right.
Today.
And we just want to make sure that we are also highlighting that we're not moving content or losing content. We're finding alternate formats to provide the content. So that's an important thing to note here. We are a good system member and we share our resources responsibly.
You could say that I'm on the resource sharing committee.
I can definitely put that in there. We instituted the Universal Access State Database Package this year through Illinois, and we do promote it, and we continue to pursue multiple points of universal access and removing barriers for patrons. That's just part of our library mission. For public services reference and readers advisory, we strengthened our staff continuing education through having them meet with library workers at other libraries. Some went for planned sit-down visits. Others went with wider boundaries and brought back ideas to implement here at LGPL. This year, we're working very directly on enhancing our readers advisory services, so you'll see more of that popping up, whether it's on social media, whether it's physically in the building, or whether it's in, hopefully, conversations you have with staff. So we'll see more of that coming forward. Almost done. Number 10, the library currently meets the components of the programming checklist. We've increased our outreach visits quite a bit in the last year, and we continue to expand upon our community partnerships that highlight services to our shared populations. And we plan to present outreach and partnership guidelines to our board and community in the coming year. So maybe coming sooner rather than later. So that's good, because I want you to meet more staff, and those are great staff that you'll be able to hear from. When it comes to youth and young adult services, we're meeting the components of the checklist. Our library staff has been agile in expanding programs where appropriate. I think I might have mentioned on election day this year, we had 60 people show up for story time. And rather than turn people away, we moved story time down here, and we had a big in-person story time. So our staff has been really great about figuring out ways to expand our programs when appropriate. We plan to present the programming guidelines and our community within the coming year. We've also been working really hard to align our programming standards to meet the educational needs of patrons birth to 18, with parity with the Illinois State Board of Education and local school district learning objectives. So yes, I will take that part out too.
Thank you.
I will definitely look at that. We are not going to do a program reconsideration form, so I do apologize for letting that stay in. And finally, technology. We are doing such a great job with our technology. We just highlighted the items we added this year, so we updated our entire phone system. We've added the Vibe Smart Board, and we formed our accessibility committee, which has worked hard to ensure our website and online presence is screen reader friendly, as ADA accessible as possible. And we've made decision to remove outdated technologies. And then finally, number 13 is marketing, program promotion, and collaboration. The library worked with our village to declare September as National Library Card Sign-Up Month. Yay! We partnered with business, and we walk in our local pet parade. This year, Arcadia has worked on developing a full marketing plan for the library, full and detailed, which is awesome. And in the coming year, she'll be working on crisis communication for both the library board and library managers. And this is a direct result of continuing education activities this year. So, what do you want to use your funds for this year? And this year, my proposal, so in the past, the library has always used per capita funding for like a singular big project. And there's a benefit to doing that, because when you do it for one thing, you know exactly where the money is going, and you can do set tracking, and it does take a little bit of time to get that done. However, that's something that some libraries do. However, another track that we're going to take, and what I propose that we take, is taking that money and rolling it into our regular budget on something that we are already tracking. So we don't have to go out and find another project. We don't have to set up separate tracking. I think if we use it for programming this year, that it's something we are already taking statistics on. It's something that we have a process by which you request the use of those funds, and it allows us to shift that program money into other areas of the budget where we may want to have more money available, perhaps a furniture budget or a technology budget. So the numbers aren't exactly apples to apples. It's not, programming is 19,000 and the per capita grant is 19,000. So it'll look like we're decreasing the program budget, but in reality we're increasing it, because what we spent this year, I think it was a little over 19,000. Our per capita grant's usually 24. So we're going to roll some bigger things into it. More outreach. We're going to more outreach swag, some of the giveaways that we use, and some of the program preparation supplies that we've taken from like other areas of the budget. We're going to push those things into programming so that we can track them here and use the funds in that way.
And just to be clear, one, you have to track it for the state.
Yes.
So then this would mean that we're not doing extra work
Yes,
and we're still gonna use the money somewhere that it's needed.
yes,
Okay, and secondly, this will, I'm assuming, because it sounds like this will give us a better sense of the actual programming costs, because you were saying we're taking money from other budget lines now.
Right.
So we're gonna have a more real-time idea of what it actually costs to do this.
And a lot of libraries will use that, like Villa Park, for example, uses their per capita grant as their ebook budget for the year.
Right.
So like it's a common practice to do that. Instead of us coming up with like, here's a big thing we want to work on, why not fold it in so that we can take it and we can say we're spending it on programs, materials, and outreach. So I think it'll be a little bit easier for staff to have to do that. Whereas that unexpended 19,000, we can take that and put that into building projects. We can take that and put that into other areas where maybe we don't know what that cost is going to be yet, but we can boost that budget line a little bit. So that's my proposal.
Just for reference, what did we use the money for this past year?
We used we had to contribute a little bit more. We use it for all of the new furniture in the tween kind of dead space behind Tyler's room that had IKEA furniture in it, which you don't put IKEA furniture in a public space if you don't have to. So we bought that furniture back there. We created 2 separate display shelves back there as well. We added the slat wall shelving in children's services. When you walk in, it's green. It matches the color of the shelf. And then upstairs where you see the 3D display areas on the adults, right off the top of the stairs there in the adult area. So those are considered accessible because they're the varied height. And also the chairs are the it's not a banquette seating, but it's like a shorter chair couch area that we put into the children's space. It doesn't have like a cushion that's going to sink after you sit on it too many times. It's meant for public use. So it definitely has a longer lifespan and accessibility.
Thank you, I just needed a refresher, I appreciate it.
So this isn't the grant that was for this carpeting and this?
No. That one's different. I checked on that one for the future years as well. So TBD if we'll be getting it in the future.
Because that was directly from LaShawn Ford put into the
The
budget
state appropriations grant.
appropriation.
That we can't count on. This we can.
Yes, exactly. Per capita will come every year. I think you get like $1.04 per resident. $1.07 per patron.
And it's required, it's not per patron, it's per person in your town,
Correct, per resident.
per resident.
Per recorded resident.
Per human beings who reside in this
Yes, whether they have a library card or not.
community. Exactly, and it's a state statute that they have to give to us.
Yeah.
So do we have any further questions or comments?
Yes, I promise I'll fix all the spelling stuff.
I just sent it to you so you should.
Part of this grant, once you're given the money, you have requirements to track how you're spending it.
You got
And
it.
that's where you're seeing a lot of time spent. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and particularly because we have 2 grants going at the same time. So if you get a direct appropriations grant like we do from LaShawn Ford, you have quarterly reporting that you have to do. So that is both narrative and financial tracking. With per capita, the tracking for this is making sure that we are meeting throughout the year those 13 core standards. So that's when I say some of this stuff happens organically. It feels like a little bit less work in comparison to the other or any other grants that we're applying for this year. But yes, so when you look at your budget expenditures too, there will be, there's a per capita grant or the per capita miscellaneous line. And when you have the check run, Joanne will put if it is for per capita. So
this
you can
falls
look
into
across the year and
Joanne.
always
So that's
see.
easy to do.
This is all Joanne's tracking? Okay.
And the staff know when they are, so like for example, because it was children's furniture that we spent, furniture, but children's public services was involved. Peter, Kim, and I were involved in that process as well, right?
So you have to get 2 bids and show that you done due diligence for what you're buying?
No, you only have to do that in the state of Illinois if it's over $25,000.
And when you say we bought furniture from IKEA, why was that?
I don't know. It was before.
That was before,
It
yeah.
was historic.
Okay.
So it's, it also was the pandemic. It might have been what was
Yeah,
available.
it was
And
the
I will
pandemic.
say the furniture that we purchased, it took 8 to 12 weeks for all of the pieces to be made and delivered.
That's common.
So it's like sometimes, yes, you're getting, professional grade stuff, but the lead time is twice as long, maybe. So, but it's the company that we worked with is the same company that provided the furniture for children's services from the renovation.
But in this case, we're talking about using the funds strictly for programming.
Mhm.
We already track programming statistics and are comfortable with that reporting, so it's an easier.
I love that
Yeah,
idea.
yeah.
I also
It
love
makes a lot
the
of
idea that it's a budget line that's similar.
Yeah.
And now we're gonna actually have a more true idea, because like you said, you were pulling money from other budget lines.
Right.
And now we have that money freed up to go somewhere else where we can make more on-the-go decisions and maybe put it somewhere that beef up something that we see needs it.
Yeah, so this
Great.
report is what we have to do for per capita for appropriations grant, or if you get any other kind of federal money. It's more quarterly reporting, more narrative and more fiscal kind of, so it's fillable PDF, so I guess that's kind of nice, but otherwise, I have found it to be more work than to do it this way. So this will be easier for everybody.
So we have, all good?
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
if you're happy for me to submit the per capita grant application for this use.
Do we accept or approve this one?
Approve with changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, approve with the
I assume
So
why don't you make a motion?
medical
changes.
corrections and then the omission of the program
Yeah.
consideration form. Is that correct?
Yep, approve it, and the addition of other stuff too.
Okay, well, addition of me being on that committee.
Right, okay.
Yep.
Okay, so
what
I'll-
changes and what changes?
So I move that we accept the per capita grant with the changes noted during our conversation.
Per capita grant application.
With changes noted during our conversation.
Yes.
I second that.
Any further discussion? Okay, roll call?
Cutler? Megan McIntyre?
Aye.
Katzenberger?
Aye.
Vanessa Open?
Aye.
Bradford?
Aye.
Rennick?
Aye.
Gardner?
So, committee reports, Becky, finance.
I need Chantal and Vicky to stay after because we need to have a finance committee meeting in February that is not the day of the board meeting. But also, I'm gonna say now, I think we already did this, but check your calendar. We're gonna come an hour early on the March board meeting, like we did last year, to go over the budget. I would highly encourage any board members who would like to know the details about the budget to come at 6 o'clock in March. We are not gonna spend the time in the board meeting going over it at length. It'll be in your board packet, there will be a memo from Jen, but the nitty-gritty details will be at the finance committee meeting before the board meeting. And then, of course, we leave it open for, so for sure, 6 o'clock in March, and please stay after to make a finance committee meeting for February.
So that would be the 18th, is that right?
Yeah, whatever March is,
Okay.
yes, it's the 18th. It's not spring break, right, we're okay?
No, we're good.
Okay, good. Yes, so we would start at 6, please,
Okay.
thank you. And by having the meeting in February, we will not have to be here for longer than an hour before, so. Thank you.
All good. Yeah. Vicky, friends?
Friends did submit their yearly, that was nice, they run it through QuickBooks. So they do have, what do you call it, budget, profit and loss statement for the year, which is nice to see. So that's good. They did well.
Did they have a prospective new person?
Join, yes,
Join,
and she
yeah.
was, I think, vice president.
Yeah,
That's
she's
what I
awesome.
read. Okay. Becky, Rails ILA advocacy.
I don't know if there's anything, we just had an ILA board meeting. Should we talk about, no, we don't have to talk about all that stuff at the hotel.
I'm skipping over that tonight.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, great. Joyce, policies, did you, were you able to schedule?
Did we get a date?
I believe January 31st was the best date, or February 3rd. So we were just waiting to hear
Okay, so
your
we're,
final choice.
okay, so we will be having a meeting
Very
either on January 31st or February 3rd to go over a number of policies.
What was the hotel comment? I don't understand.
I can tell you later. It's not something to do with the library, I'll tell you about it later. It's an ILA thing.
Brecken, any village news for us?
Nothing tonight. I'm in favor of speed today.
Okay. Jen. Sorry. Whenever you're ready.
Yeah, the as far as our director's report this month,
It's
I
a
need to look at
2-month
the one in front of me and the one up there. Couple cool things happened. I think I had shared an author mentioned us in her article about book censorship preparedness. So as you can see, they directly referenced our trustee handbook, which was really wonderful thing to have happen. Kelly Jensen is the person who spoke at the trustee banquet if you attended last May. So it's always nice to be noticed for our good work. We had a bunch of just really great patron programs. So if anybody has any specific questions about anything, I'd love to highlight those for you. But one of the ones I think we're really proud of is the Born to Read Welcome Baby bags. That is a brainchild of our new outreach librarian, Lauren. And it was promoted in the newsletter, so you may have seen it. But anybody who has a new addition to their family can come into the library, and we put flyers out so people know about it. And the first week we had 5 people request Born to Read bags for their infants. So
Awesome.
it's really exciting, and that's also Friends of the Library driven project, which is really great.
Makes a lot of sense for the friends to do that too.
Yeah, it's awesome. Let's see. One of the other big things I wanted to point out, I tried to make it in bold, so that we've been having some really great teen experiences at the end of the year. Lauren was at the tree lighting ceremony, and one tween said that she loved our library, praising how nice everybody is there, which was really exciting. But Public Services gained 5 new registered volunteers this month, which is our teen volunteers. So we have 37 teens that regularly show up. You'll see it in next month's board packet, obviously, because this is from month, we're always in arrears here, but on our annual report, we pointed out our Crafting for a Cause program, which is a teen and tween program that does good deeds for humanity. So we even highlighted it in our annual report because we've just been having a really great experience with our teens. And anything particular? We got new art. We've been having really great success lately with some of our book clubs. There were 2 things in there about our cookbook club, which is where they choose a cookbook, everybody cooks something from it, and then they come together and share with each other. And they, this year, are letting some of the people choose books. So it's been, Maria and I were kind of talking about the fact it's a kind of a more personal connection almost. It's this is something I used as a kid or something along those lines. So that was really exciting. They did their first outreach book discussion for Grange Point, and they had 10 people show up, which is really exciting, at one of our senior centers. And they just have had a great time, and they love us coming back. So it's a nice opportunity. And I had a good laugh about where's the one? This is great too, that Kate gave people the cloud dough recipe. So I'm sure parents know that when kids come home with those fun sticky gross recipes from the library, it's really because we like you.
I loved all the dino stuff. It was all the...
It's just been really great. So it was a good month. It was a good 2 months. We did quite a bit. And one of the big things you may see, it's on our website right now. So we worked with the New York Times to add what they call an all access pass to press reader. So you can go in there if you go into press reader through the library, and you have access to everything New York Times. I was waiting for it to go live so I could cancel my own New York Times subscription because it's not cheap. But you can play the games through there. Wirecutter is their equivalent to Consumer Reports. So we have quite a bit available with that as well. So it's been a really good month. We're trucking along. And all the staff stuff. It's kind of, when you don't have a ton of programming happening, you have lots of continuing education options. So, but yeah, any specific questions about anything?
Busy 2 months.
I thought it was cool that Tana, Tana, who used to work
She
here,
used to work here.
but she's become quite a superstar at Bolingbrook. She gives presentations all over about what the work she does there. So
It's been so like refreshing to have staff, when
yeah,
see, like,
I was like, I've talked to
it's
her.
very easy when you're a library person, and we want to be focused on our community. And sometimes you get even think about yourselves at your own work. Like when you're just in that particular zone, there's science that says when you step out of that office or you step out even for just a little bit, how does it enhance the work that you do when you come back? And it's been a real opportunity to point out to staff, like when you go and you talk to other people, like sometimes you're going to come back with something like, why did we never think to do it that way? But then other times you're going to leave them with that, oh, you guys do it way better. We should do it like that. So it's that exchange of ideas can be really refreshing, and it makes you feel good because you're like, oh yeah, I know what I'm doing. So everybody gets to win at that point. We did hire our new public services coordinator. Sarah will be starting February 10th, which is very awesome. She's coming to us from the Westmount Public Library, so she's a Swan local. And
what is Sarah's last name?
it's Antel Camarena.
They're a good library too, though. That's good. That means
One of the things that really stood out during the panel process was that she runs their homebound delivery program, which has 60 people. And it's something that we are hoping to expand our program in the coming year. So it'll be a really asset add for us to have somebody who's grown their program.
It's always nice to get somebody from a good library that functions well, because they're not just trying to leave to go somewhere better. Like, she probably really thought about this, so that's nice.
Yeah, she's great. We had 25 applicants, lots from out of state. So
Wow.
it was a lot of time. That was when I was sick, and we got to use the Vibe Smartboard to do. I got to be in virtual interviews using the Vibe, so it was well used. It was a cool product. And that was our staff cookie exchange, which we brought back again this year. So it's fun. For me.
Excellent. Well, thank you for that and all the good work you did in November and December, which feels like a year ago right now.
Yeah.
Trustee comments. I guess I can start. Thank you to those who've submitted feedback on the facility improvement plan. If you haven't done so, we wanted to give folks the opportunity to come and talk to Peter and Jen in person. But you can still submit your comments on this draft form of the plan before was it January 31st?
Yes.
Yes. So if you have any trouble opening the survey form, because I think Joyce had some trouble, you did too. It's weird. I went into the
It
settings
was fine.
and I had no trouble accessing it. And it looked like it was anyone in Grange, the Grange Library email should be able to get into it. So I don't know, Peter.
We have some time tonight. Maybe we could help you.
Yeah, go to talk to Peter about it.
And it's just like a Google form, or,
It's just
On
Microsoft.
It looks like you have to
Microsoft
sign in through
system.
Microsoft.
yeah, I think that's the issue.
Yeah, let me see.
I think I have to download another application, because they don't use
talk to
that.
Peter, yeah.
So
Maybe even do it tonight.
But just as a reminder about the process, this is the draft form, and then Jen's going to take the trustee feedback and staff feedback and send that to Engberg Anderson, and then they will use that to come back to us with a final plan that then we will talk about and decide where we want to go with that. And do we want to?
So the final plan will come back with isn't like final. It's more like
Like, here's what you can do.
here's what you can do, because then we would have to choose
Correct.
something to do.
Yeah.
And then it gets even more specific.
Right.
So what we're looking for is, I think, what the feedback we need to give is, having done this before, is what do you want the overall, what are the
Priorities.
the big picture things and the priorities that we're looking at. And then once we see that, then we pick an area that we would want to do construction. And then that gets way more detailed.
But Jen, you lead this, right? You say you want this and you propose it to us.
So once we have the plan, and we say, you know, once the board solidifies and says, yes, this is the plan we'd like you to make happen, Jen, then it's my job to work with whether it's consultants, whether it is, these would be projects we would have to go out to bid. So that would be something Dan and Peter would help us do. Once you said, okay, we're going to work on, you know, if we're going to work on the second floor, for example, then that lets me know, okay, this is where I need to direct staff's attention. And then as things come up, just like with the pickup window, you all will give feedback. Engberg Anderson will, you know, sometimes present drafts. We'll tell you, this is what's delayed right now, and this is what we can't get or can't get. And then that is how it kind of works. So you all are giving me the plan and the direction to make it go. So it's not just me.
I thought it was you. I don't understand, but okay.
Well, remember, you all are giving me, this is, Jen, this is what we want you to accomplish. So then I go forward and accomplish what you want me to accomplish.
Is that the way everyone understands it?
Yeah, by law, oversight of the building has to do, is the trustees, like, oversight of the big picture of the building is the role of trustees, because the building is the largest asset owned by the people of Grange. So we direct her, but she makes it happen.
So we decided to take on Engelberg to do this. The board did?
To draft us that plan.
Right, because we had like 3 choices of people and we picked them.
And then now, you all are giving that feedback about that plan to get the final product from that relationship, you know, that contracted relationship that we hired them for. And then once we have that, you all say, okay, here's what we want to do. Can we do it?
And that's when they start, we say, okay, we want the second floor. And then Jen will work with Peter and Danny Leonardo, and they will put out bids. And then they'll get bids back, and we will review the bids and say, okay, we want the second floor, we want this done. We're going to pick this construction company or this contractor to do it. And then at that point, that contractor will come to us and say, you know, maybe they'll have a designer and they'll have the person doing the physical construction,
does the design.
the architect, and they'll come to us and say, here's some plans and ideas. So it's a process of us deciding and voting and then saying, take the next step. Us deciding and voting, and then they take the next step. So we make the decisions and empower staff to go out and get those bids and move that project forward.
I think that's a good way to put it, empower staff to execute.
Yeah.
And again,
Right.
fingers crossed that, you know, steel is available or
Well, and that's
whatever
part of why we
products.
need to meet in February to talk about money for any sort of building project. Separate from the budget, and that's what we're gonna talk about in February.
But this next step with the feedback, so everybody's giving individual feedback and somehow it's compiled and we see everyone's feedback together, or how does that work?
Yeah, I think it would be appropriate for you to share with us the kind of the
I'd be happy to do that.
Because you'll have the.
I'm doing that with the staff too.
Okay,
I'm gonna
I'm just
put
trying to
together
understand what
staff
happens next. Okay.
Yeah.
right.
I'd be happy to share that with you.
And then we're anticipating that Engberg Anderson will have the next draft or a more complete vision for us at
February.
February's meeting. So that's part of the timeline of getting our stuff back to Jen by the end of the month, so that they can bring it back to us next month. So, all right, everybody good? Okay, excellent. With no further comments, then we get to adjourn. So we'll adjourn this meeting at 7:40.
So Vicky